Okay, this is the Board of Selectmen and Wage and Personnel Board meeting on September 18th, 2020 at 10:30 a.m. Please ask if anybody is recording this meeting. Announce that cable taping is present. First item on the agenda, in accordance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general law, chapter 30A, section 20, relating to the 2020 COVID-19 outbreak emergency. The September 18th public meeting of the Board of Selectmen shall be physically closed to the public to avoid group congregation. However, to view this meeting in progress, please go to facebook.com/LakeCAM. You do not need a Facebook account to view this meeting. This meeting will be recorded and available to be viewed at a later date at www.lakecam.tv/. Okay, as a preliminary matter, my name is Rich LakeCAM. I'm the chairman of the Board of Selectmen. Please permit me to introduce all members and persons anticipated to be on the agendas. So members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Affirmative. Leah Fabian.
Here.
Brian Day.
Here.
Maureen Candido, town administrator.
Here.
Tracy Greg McGee, executive assistant.
Here.
And Corinda Dumfrey, HR director.
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning. This is the open meeting. This is an open meeting of the Lakeville Board of Selectmen and is being conducted remotely, consistent with the governor's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the state of the emergency due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. As such, the governor suspends the requirements to the open meeting law to have all meetings in publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of the bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you'll find posted with the materials on this meeting, allows the bodies to meet entirely remotely, as reasonable public access is affordable to the public and can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. All right, so first item on the agenda is to revisit the Board of Selectmen's full-time job description and vote to approve. So at our last meeting, this was presented by the town administrator, and the board was concerned about some potential changes that they would like to make, so we did not vote it at the town meeting. And you have a revised copy of some proposed changes, and so I guess we need to talk about those changes and decide to vote to accept this position.
Right. I think I was the holdout here on what was presented, and I know I've seen some of the changes, but I knew I had a couple of job descriptions from a long time ago that I think I had gotten from Rita, and some of the things on there were a little bit more specific, like there was a section that said meetings, assist executive assistant with preparation of agenda and materials for Board of Selectmen's meetings, post meetings, notify participants of agenda appointments and topics. Under appointments, assist the executive assistant in maintaining information relating to appointments and reappointments. So it actually spells out a little bit more, but I do see some of the changes that have been provided where it says assist with preparing agendas and informational packets for posting meetings. So the supplies is new. So I mean, I guess I can be okay with the draft that Maureen and Clorinda did for us. I'd just be curious if Clorinda has anything on this that she feels we should know.
I mean,
I was kind of trying to combine things that, like you had said, from the town coordinator's position and Tracy's position, and just assisting with these things. I wasn't entirely sure how specific you wanted to be. So
So less specific is better in these cases, because sometimes it's not a case of always doing it. Sometimes it's a case of support or cross training. So being able to have it in that way is better. Clorinda, there is one thing that I think we missed when we updated this.
okay.
I had under the qualifications, and I'm not seeing it, we had experience in Office and Outlook originally, and it looks like that in Microsoft Office and Outlook. It's pretty standard for people to have that experience now. It's the standard operating, but I think we called it out in specific, and I don't see it now, and I didn't know if I...
Maureen, it might be just a carriage return got removed. So under qualifications, abilities, and skills, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th line down, it looks like it got added to the end.
Ah, okay, I see it.
It might have just had a backspace and moved it up.
Okay, I see it.
I got a question. The change here, processing invoice and monitoring expenses as needed. I don't think this is a clerical's responsibility to monitor expenses. I think that that's the town administrator's responsibility.
Actually, no, that's a clerical position function, is when they're processing the invoices and stamping them in. They're usually adding them to a spreadsheet or to keep track of them.
Why do we have to put it in a spreadsheet if the accounting system already provides those type of reportings?
Currently, they're put in a spreadsheet, but yes, they can put it into Munis directly. That's the input that Lori Catalano had added yesterday with Clorinda.
Okay, so do we put it into the accounting system now?
No, we don't.
So why would we do that?
It's an efficiency.
Well, it seems like you're requiring them to do additional work. We're looking to get additional staffing needs, so.
So it's not additional
This
work.
person that we're gonna hire is gonna have zero experience, in processing invoices and entering it into the system. So I can understand processing invoices, but I don't think it's the responsibility of a clerk to monitor expenses. And I don't think it's the responsibility, since we don't do it now, to input invoices using the accounting software.
So the difference is that we're inputting and keeping track of them individually now, or we'll be keeping track of them on a system that other people can share and look at.
Say that again.
So currently, the Board of Selectmen is keeping them individually, these records, and putting a copy up to the accountant's office. This would be putting it into one place that both people share, both offices share.
Okay, but so we're currently putting everything into a spreadsheet?
So it's being saved on our drives and put in a spreadsheet by Tracy. So it's a manual procedure that gets duplicated when it goes upstairs. This should be changed over to be a streamlined shared procedure.
So that would remove the step that Lori's taking, is that what you're saying? So basically we would no longer do the spreadsheet, we just go right into Munis.
Correct.
So
And enter it into there. So it's saving a step and being more efficient and being able to track it in a way that is in the reports and generated in the reports, not in two separate systems or organization structures.
Okay, are the other departments entering their invoices in the municipal accounting software?
I can't speak to that. I can find out for you, but, oh, Clorinda?
I believe that the highway department and the park department currently does it, the clerks in those departments.
is that a goal over time that we're trying to move towards?
I think so. I think it would help out the accounting department. That's what Lori was saying yesterday.
It's easier to keep track of in that way.
So could we say process invoices?
Sure.
Using the municipal and take out monitor expenditures, because that means that person,
I think that's fine.
would be accountable to giving an answer on, at least this way here, then they can just input the data. It's just basically data input that way.
Process invoices and input invoices, well, that's redundant, and input using municipal accounting software.
Yeah.
Insist on maintaining update town social media accounts as well as the town website. I want that to say that we're only updating the town's Facebook page and the town's website, not other social media accounts.
Do we have other social media accounts? Do we have Twitter or Instagram or?
Not as of yet, but as the population shifts, we probably should look into that. Facebook is for us 40 and over people. And then the demographic shifts significantly as being able to reach people. But we're not currently doing those other social media things, but we are missing a whole demographic probably by not
So
doing.
what social media accounts are you talking about?
What social media accounts am I talking about that younger people use?
No, what social media accounts are we using now?
Yeah.
Currently,
Are we updating other social media accounts outside of the town's,
currently just Facebook,
our Facebook page?
our Facebook page.
Okay, so there'll be no updating of any other Facebook pages out there, right?
I don't understand the question. So we only have one Facebook page for the selectman's office. However, there's a Facebook page for the highway, there's a Facebook page for the other one, and we share to the other pages whenever we do an update.
No, I'm talking about external Facebook pages outside of the towns.
Well, sometimes we'll post like in other, like the Lakeville Helping Lakeville page, that there's a town meeting.
Yeah, and that's not technically a post, it's called a share. So, but yeah, we share where the people are going to see it the most, but it's coming from the Facebook post.
Okay, so you're asking this clerk, this brand new clerk, to do that.
This is not a hard task.
Well, it is a hard task if somebody doesn't give them directions as to what needs to be posted.
Well, that one's kind of a tough one, because then we would have to get into, I don't know, help me out, Brian. I mean, there's some pages that are a little more sensational, but I certainly, though they get seen. So as long as we're just posting information and not commenting on it, I think at least people will see meeting notices or, you know.
I mean, we could tweak the language a little bit, maybe if we really wanted to, and say, assist with maintaining and updating the town's approved official social media accounts. If we want to limit it to the, you know, the one that the town administrator typically takes care of for us. I agree. In the future, we'll probably want to look at additional networks that are becoming trending much more popular with different demographics. But I mean, assist with maintaining. I mean, I could see where town administrator comes up with, here's the post that we want to make. You know, could you please go and share it to these locations so that, you know, most of the drafting work has been done by the time that the clerk has been asked to move forward with the post and then the share to additional locations.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of, I'm on and off Twitter depending on how much just evilness I can take. But, you know, I do know a lot of people get their information from Facebook now, and they do get it not necessarily by going to the town's Facebook page, but they see it in another groups. And actually, that's how we reached a lot of people. So,
Okay, I just don't think it's appropriate to have a clerk going out there and putting out information that's not approved by the town administrator. So that's me.
So we just want to add the word approved to share approved posts to social media accounts.
yeah, we can change that to approved posts.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I see Rich's angle. I agree. I wouldn't want them to be in charge of the responses and the posts on their own without some sort of oversight.
Post is fine.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
Right now, between Maureen and I, the clerk's duties there will probably be on a limited basis because Maureen and I, we pretty much take care of it.
Yeah. It's my nighttime extra gig is social media. So like I said, the only time that we'll be asking them to do it is when we want a link to something posted, or, you know, where something's already done. It's not really very difficult. It's just sometimes time consuming.
Yeah, I mean, it really isn't done that often anyways. In the case of like the Route 79 informational meeting, or just the really big sort of topics are the only ones that typically Maureen or Tracy would post on someone else's. Otherwise, it's usually just posted on the Lakeville Facebook Town of Lakeville page.
Yeah.
And then other, you know, people may share it from our page to their group. We don't usually go in and just put everything out there and everyone else. That would take forever, like Maureen says.
Yeah. But
So I mean, I would
look
under
at
the
other social media as the demographic shifts. You know, right now, most of the people are 55 and over in Lakeville, but that doesn't mean that there's not a lot of people we're missing on social media. A lot of voters, a lot of people that need the information, and maybe I'm not a Twitter person myself. I don't dabble in the tweets, as it were, but I know there's a lot of people out there that do, and it's an opportunity that we should not just ignore.
I'm not talking about the media. I'm talking about controlling what's going out on Facebook. And I just think that we should be only using our town website and our Facebook page. And if somebody, like Leah points out, if somebody wants to link to our Facebook page having to do with the information, that's fine. But we should not be putting other information out on other Facebook pages or other groups. I just don't think we should be doing that. But anyways, let's move on.
well, can we just put there under the supervision of the town? Well, I mean, this whole thing is under the supervision of the town administrator, so.
Make sure I added approved post into the language.
Next question is assist with maintaining departmental supplies to ensure the office. So we currently have a system with WB Mason where we order the supplies online, right?
Yes.
Right. So you're talking about just our office?
Tracy, you don't order for anyone else? Just in case there's a problem, maybe.
Once in a great while, I'll order something that, like, if the cemetery commission needs something, once in a great while. I typically order by phone, but it's usually only our stuff.
So our WB Mason account is broken out into separate accounts, and the one that Tracy orders is the account that goes under the town administrator, Board of Selectmen. So it would just be the Board of Selectmen, town administrator stuff as a general rule.
And that's all done online, right?
Yes.
I do it over the phone.
Oh, with your
Okay, well, we don't want to get in there, but I don't know why we don't do it online, but that's another discussion for another day. Does anybody have any questions, any further questions on the job description?
Nope.
No, I just, Leah, are you good with the additions? I know you wanted some clarity.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the job descriptions with the proposed amended changes.
Okay, so moved.
Second?
Were you okay with that? Is that why you were asking me? Did you want to mention something, or?
No, I know you were looking for some specifics. I want to make sure you're happy with what we got.
And everyone's happy with non-union level 4?
Yes.
Okay, so any further discussion? All those in favor?
Baby and I.
AI.
LaCAM, aye. Okay, next on the agenda is the last meeting. We were talking about the revisit the interview team for the interim treasurer and come on, that's 2 on this, both of them. Why are they both calling? Review the interview team for the interim treasurer slash tax collector. So there was a discussion that of who was going to be on that interviewing committee. And I believe that Brian had mentioned that he would like to be on that interviewing committee. So I'll entertain a motion to have Brian be part of the interview team for the interim treasurer tax collector.
So moved. I'll nominate Ryan for that.
Second.
Any discussion?
Do we
Quick.
do we
quick
just want to
discussion.
appoint Ryan right now, or do we want to put together the whole team, who it's going to be?
Same question I had.
Well, we can vote all of them if you want, if we want to do that. So somebody want to makes a motion that,
So I'll withdraw that first motion, and I'll make a motion that we appoint Brian Day as the selectman representative on the committee, and that the rest of the committee be made up of the town administrator, town accountant, and the current treasurer tax collector.
and the HR.
Oh, and the HR director. Sorry, Clorinda.
So 1, 2, 3, 5 total, correct?
Yeah, 5 total.
I would agree with that list.
Okay, did you second that, Brian? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Second the motion.
Yeah, thank you. Any discussion? The only discussion that I think we need to decide is how long we want this person to fill this role. Because as you know, the legislature hasn't done anything up there, and they're not moving anytime fast to change our position, the treasurer collector's position, from elected to appointed. So I would think that we want to try to, do at least 6 months.
Yeah, I would agree with 6 months, Rich.
And I think that the goal should be to have somebody in place by October 15th, if possible.
Yeah, I think 6 months is kind of needed, because that'll take us through the new tax bills going out, and the first motor vehicle commitment, which is usually the biggest one of the year.
I'm fine with that. Even if you guys wanted to take it through the fiscal year, just to have a point of alignment, I'd be okay with that as well.
Yeah, because when you're going to interview these people, you got to kind of tell them what a potential time frame would be, a minimum of this, a minimum of that, maximum of X. And I guess also then the hourly wage is probably going to have to be negotiated based upon the qualifications of the individual. And the other thing is that I think these people, some of the resumes are retired treasurers and collectors, and they're probably only going to want to work 3 days a week, because they're restricted about how much money they can make. So you need to take those factors, in consideration. Any other discussion?
Right now.
All those in favor?
Ian, aye.
Day aye.
LaCamera, aye. Maureen, you might want to email Jonathan to tell him we may be a couple minutes late here.
Will do.
Any new business?
I don't have any new business.
Brian?
Don't believe I do either.
Okay. Under old business, one of the things that we talked about at the last meeting was setting up town meeting. And at our next meeting, we really have to focus in whether we need one or not. So we need to get a handle on any issues that we may have. I know we talked about, funding capital items and so forth, but there's a possibility that we don't need to do all those capital items right now, but there may be one particular one. So we need to be prepared to discuss that at the next meeting. Okay?
Okay, we also may have, I thought we received a notification that we may be expecting a petition, so we have 45 days to act on that, but the town meeting does not have to be within 45 days, correct? As long as we set a date for it?
That's correct. Once we receive notification, we have 45 days to call that meeting.
Okay.
Okay, one other thing under the old business that we discussed was the representative from the Board of Selectmen as the marijuana liaison. Currently, I am that person, and we are working on a new draft contract for Twisted Growers, and also putting together a draft letter for Nature's Remedy for some of the issues associated with their contract. And I know that Brian has shown some interest in being that person. I don't have a problem if Brian wants to do this. I'll be happy to do it. I got my hands full as it is. So, but certainly I would help him and get him during the transition period. It needs to be done. So if you're interested in doing that, Brian, somebody can make a motion to that effect.
Yeah, it's still of interest. I'd certainly be happy to help offload some of the project work right now, and certainly any and all concerns that my colleagues here have, I'd be sure to bring those forward to any of the negotiations and bring back what we come up with for kind of a team review.
Okay. I'll nominate Brian to be our marijuana liaison. How's that sound?
I'll step down and second that.
Okay.
Any discussion?
None.
Drug-
Okay, all those in favor?
Fabian, I.
AI.
LakeCAM, aye. Congratulations, Brian.
Whoa, what did I just sign up for there? You seem way too happy.
I got this big folder on my dining room table. No, we'll make sure we help you. You know,
I thought I saw your wife in the background face palming herself.
It's,
I think I just heard her fall down the stairs.
it's very complicated. So,
Mm.
anyways, but we won't let you hang out there. Okay, next thing is that we received a draft amendment for Loon Pond Lodge to amendment to their contract. I assume town council drafted that up?
That was a standard one that we've had for other extensions in the past. I can run it right by town council if you'd like, but that was just one that we used in the past, and Tracy had it on hand, so we repurposed it.
All right, Leah, can you review that? And because we should get that signed by next meeting
Yep.
to make sure that it's okay. So
Yep.
put that on the agenda to approve.
Okay.
Okay. The last item is the, I'm sorry to bring these things up, but some of these things are important to get done. Under old business, having to do with the town planner / Lakeville Hospital project, we had the developer come in and present their project to the 43D committee last Wednesday. And I think a lot of concerns and issues about managing and monitoring the project, came up. And so the first thing was that we had already all agreed at the previous 43D meeting, and the planning board agrees, as well, that we were going to use environmental partners to do the peer review. So that's not a problem, okay? We agreed to do that. So what we need to do is get the contract, together and get this contract signed. And usually the way they do it is they provide a list of services that they can provide the town and assign rates to that. And then the planning board would allocate a certain amount of money for whatever site plan review or whatever it happens to be and work off that contract. So we need to get that contract, together, this week. The second thing is that I know that Environmental Partners has had a lot of experience with managing 43D projects, and I think we ought to take advantage of that. We ought to ask them to help us put together timelines and the process that needs to be done. So we need to have a conversation with them, about the management of the 43D project as well. Now, just so you know, all of this is paid by the developer, so that's not an issue. So any expertise that I think we can get that would help, especially Nate, and also the town administrator, would be beneficial, to everybody. So I think we need to have that conversation with Scott Turner, to see what kind of resources they can provide, to do that. It's not taking complete control over the management of the project, but it's guiding us, since they've been through this 3 or 4 times, to help us figure out what needs to be done and what the process is and what the timelines are and so forth, because it's very specific that you have to follow these timelines. And if we don't follow these timelines based upon the state law on this thing, we get ourselves in trouble. The other thing is that we need to notify KP Law and Town Council that we want somebody to be assigned to this project right away, because we have a lot of issues, having to do with what needs to be done, advising the planning board on bylaws and things like that. And once again, it's very important that we follow the requirements of the law, along with some of our bylaws, because all of the bylaws have time frames and dates that we have to make and notifications and so forth. So I would say that we ask for, this is my suggestion, we ask for Amy Kessler to represent the town. And then also what she can do is she will write the decisions, for the planning board, as we go along. And she should attend the meetings of the planning board. Okay?
So, Rich, I just have a question. So this list of things to do, is that for the selectmen to meet with all these people, to meet with, environmental partners, or the 43D committee and the selectmen?
Well, the 43D committee has already approved the peer review.
Okay,
So all we have to do is get the contract together having to do with that. Okay, that's our responsibility, Board of Selectmen's responsibility. The 43D committee does not have the authorization to sign the contract.
okay, yes.
Right.
So the selectmen have to sign any of that contract.
But
The same thing having to do with the 43D, project management. Now,
Okay.
the project management part of that, comes under the board with the direction of the 43D committee. And we just want to make sure that we're following the process of what needs to be done and get it right. Because the time frames on doing this stuff is very narrow. We don't have months, So what we need to do is find out from environmental partners, and that's our responsibility, as to what they can do for us. Maybe they'll say, oh, we're not interested in doing that. Or maybe they'll say, yeah, we can help you. We've done this before, and this is what we need to do. So it's not like they don't understand it. They understand it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, I think Doreen wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I agree with the importance. I mean, for a project of this type that only comes around every few decades, there's probably not a lot of people around that know all the specifics. So the importance I absolutely agree with. I would just ask that we ensure that we keep the chairman of the 43D committee involved in all of these conversations to make sure that we maintain a healthy relationship between us and the committee itself.
Well, what I was going to suggest, Brian, and we got another item down here called town planner, at least I do, that I think we need to have a discussion with the planning board, or at least the chairman of the planning board. So if we can get this information together, this week, and we can put it on the agenda for the next board meeting, our next board meeting, we can invite the chairman or the planning board to discuss this.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I have a meeting with the chair of the 43D committee on Monday to discuss some of these issues, so we can sit down and have a conversation if you want to sit down with us.
Okay, when is that meeting?
Mark's going to give me a time. It was supposed to be, I think, 1 o'clock on Monday, but I'll double check.
Okay, so the next issue, which has nothing to do with the Lakeville Hospital project, is that our current engineer is retired, okay? So we have a bunch of existing major projects going on out there, like LeBaron, like the Nemasket River project down T Station, huge, huge project. And the initial peer reviews that were done on those projects was done by that engineer. Well, we don't have an engineer on staff to do the follow-up to those peer reviews having to do, and the Island Terrace is another one which is just starting, to have an engineer that represents the town to follow up on these projects. And this is pretty important because a lot has to do with storm management and drainage and site work and stuff. So that's one of the things that we need to talk to the planning board about. And Mark, the chairman of the planning board, is that we need to have a company. Now, if it's not environmental partners, it needs to be somebody else. But right now, we got nobody out there that's reviewing the engineering plans and managing these projects. That's a big problem.
Yeah, perhaps we could consider floating an idea with the planning board of bringing someone like, no, I'm just going to speak without knowing what procurement rules would require at this stage. But perhaps we could consider somebody like Environmental Partners coming on for, maybe it's a 3, 6, 9 month contract just to get us going, to make sure we don't miss anything in the interim, while putting out requests for qualifications from a handful of these companies to see if we want to look at more. Maybe if some have certain specialties over other ones. But I agree, we can't let these projects just continue without the reviews that they require. So we definitely need something.
Okay. The last item was, I guess I'm a little confused because our discussion with the planning board was that we were going to try to hire a part-time town planner. And the part-time town planner was going to be hired, either through a consultant or through somebody else out there, retired town planner or whatever. And the planning board at their last meeting said they don't want to hire a town planner. Now, I think we need to hire this part-time person, that can manage the overall projects and bylaws and things like that, and review projects before they get to the planning board or whatever. So that's another conversation we need to have with the planning board. And once again, Environmental Partners can provide some of those short-term services. So we should be looking at them as well as maybe providing that service, or somebody else for that matter. But I just think there's too many things on our list that we got to address. So.
Yeah, our next meeting is the 28th, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
With all this work, so to speak, that we have to do with the planning board, maybe we should just have a working meeting with the planning board. Otherwise, it may be an hour added on to any regular selectmen's meeting, which, I'm okay with that, but,
I wouldn't mind a focused working meeting if we could find a time that's.
If I could have a suggestion, I would say sooner rather than later. And maybe if anyone's available, we can do it for next Monday night.
Not me.
today, Friday, we wouldn't have time to post, I don't think.
This Monday night?
Yeah, that's right. It is Friday. I have
No,
no
we can't
plans
post
for
it.
days any longer.
I do think that if we're meeting with Mark on Monday,
Yep.
okay, then we should discuss these things with Mark so we can get some kind of a direction, because
Okay.
we all got to be on the same page. There's a number of items here that we need to make sure we're all communicating, because, we got a bunch of stuff on the selectmen side, that we have to address as far as this project is concerned, as well. So
Yeah.
anyways, so why don't we,
I was gonna, go ahead, Rich.
I was going to say, why don't we meet with Mark on Monday and then we'll decide on a meeting.
All right.
Yeah, but I just want to let you know that we do have a couple of things coming up, like the Old Colony meeting next week and whatever, but I can be flexible, and we could do a working meeting with the planning board. That's fine, if it gets it done sooner.
Okay, well, we'll do that. The last critical issue on old business is we got to decide what we're going to do with the IT support here. And this is, he's leaving on October 1st. So I don't know where we are, but we got to figure that out quickly.
We've got at least 3 companies to look for on the higher end side.
Yeah.
So I'm working with Tim to put together essentially a list of everything that the town has so that we can send that out when we speak to these companies, and they would know what they're getting into and what they would be responsible for helping us take care of, independent of the part-time person that we spoke about earlier.
Okay. Well, I think also, Brian, it may be a possibility that you also look at these companies to provide that day-to-day support, because we have no idea what we're going to get, for responses having to do with this position. I'm not against not hiring this person, but I mean, we need to take into consideration everything at this point. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So my plan was to build that list with Tim for the other stuff, and then also show them our posting for the part-time and say, is this something else you could provide? What would it be if you did both? What would it be if you cut it out and did one or the other, to give us some options?
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, anybody else got anything on old business?
I just want to say that you and I yesterday were at the Council on Aging drive-through lunch bag pickup, and I gotta tell you, Lori, Cheryl, and Kelly are just they're doing whatever they can for the seniors, and they were telling all the seniors, for anyone listening, to watch their mailboxes, because they are going to try to start reopening things very slowly. But I think there's another, I think it's a breakfast pickup next week, but the 3 of them were out there with their pom-poms and their masks and their smiley shirts, and I really do think that some of the seniors, they even received little thank you gifts from the seniors and decorated cars saying how much they appreciate everything the COA is doing. So really much thanks to those 3 women there who are definitely making a difference in the lives of our seniors. Lori Fahey, Cheryl, and Kelly Howley. Cheryl, I can't remember her last name.
Once,
What is it?
once,
Okay, sorry, Cheryl. But they really are making a difference in the lives of our seniors. It's really, great to see.
Okay, I'll
Chair?
entertain a motion to go
I
into,
think if you want to, Rich.
pardon me?
Mr. Chair, I don't know if the board is interested in attending, but Monday night, the Middleborough Selectmen and the Planning Board are meeting with South Coast Rail.
We got notification on that, Tracy. We got
Okay.
notification on that.
Okay, did you
Yeah.
get a meeting?
We did.
Okay, good.
At least I did,
All right.
Yeah,
Somebody forwarded it to me.
okay.
Okay, so entertain a motion to go into executive session number 7, please. Somebody want to do that motion?
If you have it in front of you, I don't have it in front of
I'm
me.
sorry.
I have it in front of me if you want me to read it.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to enter into executive session under reason number 6 to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate if the chair declares that an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body.
And not to return to regular session, Brian.
And not to return to regular session.
Second that motion?
Yep, second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Fabian, aye.
Day aye.
The camera, aye. Okay, we're all set. We're
All right.
going to go to our executive session.
Thanks, everybody.